Good morning, students. So today we'll be continuing with pharmacodynamics, and the session today will be dose response curve. So learning objectives for today's session are: you must be able to describe dose response curve, log dose response curve and illustrate this. You must be able to define drug potency and efficacy and compare drug potency and efficacy of different drugs. You must be able to differentiate between therapeutic index, therapeutic range and therapeutic window phenomenon. Now, pharmacological response may either be a graded response or a quantile response, which means all or none type of response. So, a graded response means as the dose increases incrementally, so does the response. But in case of all or none response, the response is either there or not there, whether you increase the dose or not in a particular individual. Now, drugs exhibit a characteristic relationship between dose and the pharmacological response, and it may be quantified with the help of dose response curve. Now, depending upon the dose response, either a graded DRC or a quantile DRC can be plotted. So, we will be discussing how do we plot graded DRC or quantile DRC. In case of graded responses, the drug receptor interaction, it follows law of mass action. Now, law of mass action, you probably know this already. In any kind of reaction, the velocity of reaction, it depends upon the concentration of the reactants. So that is what is law of mass action. So as the concentration of either any of the reactant increases, the reaction velocity increases. So here reaction velocity is represented by the drug effect. So drug effect E. So E is equal to E max into C divided by K plus C. This is the equation which defines the drug receptor interaction and hence the drug effect relationship. So E is equal to E max into C. E means effect of the drug, E max is the maximal effect that can be achieved by a drug, and C is the plasma concentration, which is a representative of the dose of the drug. Now, any reaction that follows this type of equation is a rectangular hyperbola. Therefore, dose response curve is a rectangular hyperbola. Now, how do we define K? K is the constant which is defined like this. Now, you can see if K is equal to C in this equation, so E will be equal to E max divided by 2 as calculated over here. So that means K is a constant which is defined as that concentration at which half the maximal effect of the drug is achieved. Now this particular slide, it shows the graded dose response curve. Now we can see on the x-axis it is the dose of a drug paracetamol, which is an analgesic agent, and as the dose is increasing from say 325 to 650, 975 as shown, the effect of the drug, which is the relief from the pain, that is also increasing, and it goes on increasing with the dose, ultimately reaching a plateau so that the maximal effect has been achieved. Now, another kind of dose response curve is log dose response curve. It is actually a semi-log plot where one of the axis is increasing in the geometrical fashion rather than arithmetic fashion, as shown over here. So on the left hand side, there is the normal arithmetic dose response curve. The dose is increasing arithmetically 1, 2, 3, 4. On the right hand side, it is the log dose. On x-axis 1, 10, 100, 1000 and so on. So those values are changing geometrically or logarithmically. So the dose response curve, the log dose response curve is sigmoid in shape. It is no more rectangular hyperbola, it is sigmoid in shape, so that the middle portion of the curve, it is a straight line. So there are some advantages of log dose response curve. One is that a large number of responses can be plotted. Second is that the slope, which has now become linear, it gives an idea of the effect of dose escalation. So that means what is the effect on the response when dose is being increased. So because of the linear relationship in log dose response curve, we can easily correlate the dose with the response. Third is the definition of potency and efficacy. It is defined based on the dose response curve. Then we can compare various agonists of a receptor with the help of the dose response curve. We can study and compare antagonists as well for a given receptor. And we can have an estimation of therapeutic index. So all these things we'll be discussing. Now slope of the dose response curve, as I told you, in the log dose response curve, it is the middle portion is straight, and the slope, its eccentricity, it varies from drug to drug. Its steepness, it varies from drug to drug. The steepness of the slope, it denotes that that means more steeper is the slope. That means a small increase in the drug dose will lead to a larger change in the response. So more steeper, more is the change in the response. Now we define efficacy and potency. What is efficacy of a drug? Now simply it is the maximal response produced by a drug. Maximal response produced by a drug, irrespective of the dose. So in the dose response curve, it is represented by the highest level reached on y-axis. That is when you have reached the plateau. So that plateau point, that the highest point, that gives us the efficacy of the drug. Potency, on the other hand, it is defined as the amount of drug needed to evoke a given response. So any given response, the amount of drug needed to evoke a given response. Okay. So for example, 40% of the maximal, 50% of the maximal. So what is the amount of drug to achieve that particular response? So that is potency. Lower the dose required, more potent is the drug to achieve a particular effect. So in a dose response curve, the plot for a more potent drug lies on the left hand side as compared to a less potent drug. So as we can see in the next slides. So here there is dose on the x-axis, response on the y-axis, and there is this slope and the maximal response achieved. the maximal response achieved gives us the efficacy, and the shift of the slope on the x-axis, it gives us an idea of the potency. So as we can see over here, so this is a particular drug showing a given effect. So sigmoid dose response curve is shown over here. So this is drug A. This is another drug B, which is showing another plot, another dose response curve. So what is the difference between these two, drug A and drug B? You can see the plateaus are different, although the steepness of the slope is similar. Another drug, drug C, is shown over here. So with a maximal point which is similar to drug A. Now using these three examples, drug A, B and C, we'll be observing what is potency, what is efficacy. Now when we compare the potency of these three drugs, the slope of the drug A, it lies towards the left hand side, as you can see, as compared to drug B, as compared to drug C. So that means to achieve a particular response as shown by this horizontal line intersecting the y-axis, to achieve this particular response, a lesser dose is required for drug A as compared to drug B or drug C. So you can see 4 level of drug A, the 4 units of drug A are equivalent to 8 units of drug B and around 30 units of drug C. So that means a lower dose is required for drug A. So drug A is the most potent of all these 3 drugs. Drug B is more potent as compared to C, but less potent as compared to drug A. When we talk of efficacy, the maximal effect achieved both by drug A and drug C is 100. So that means both the drugs are equally efficacious. Efficacy is same. Whereas drug B is the least efficacious drug. It does not reach the 100 point in the plot. Now, when we are comparing drug A, drug B, drug C, we have been comparing potency and efficacy. This is the comparison of the agonists. We can compare antagonists for a receptor as well. So by using the dose response curve. Now for competitive antagonists, so you know about competitive antagonism. A competitive antagonist, it competes with the agonist for a given site on the receptor, the binding site. So both are binding to the same site. Now when there is this competition between agonist and antagonist, so as we increase the dose of agonist, the antagonist, it gets dislodged, and therefore agonist can achieve the maximal response again if its concentration is being increased. But that will be with more of the dose of agonist as compared to that situation where antagonist is not present. So therefore, in the presence of the antagonist, the agonist, more concentration or more dose of agonist will be required, and it will be like it has become less potent. So its dose response curve will shift towards the right side in the presence of antagonist. So the combination of the agonist and antagonist is less potent as compared to agonist alone for a particular receptor. The duration of action of a reversible antagonist is closely correlated with its rate of elimination, and therefore the amount of drug, amount of or concentration of agonist that is required becomes that depends upon what kind of relationship is that. Now here it is shown the competitive antagonism. The dose response curve of agonist is shown over here. Now that is alone, agonist alone. Now when antagonist is present, the dose response curve, it shifts towards right side as shown over here. So the combination becomes less potent. In case of non-competitive antagonists, the antagonist binds at a site different from the agonist and prevents agonist binding. Now this decreases the maximal response obtained with the agonist. So the duration of action is determined by the rate of synthesis of the new receptor. Now effect can often be seen long after the final dose has been administered. When we see the dose response curve, now agonist alone, the dose response curve is as shown, and in the presence of antagonist you can see the maximal effect achieved by the agonist is reduced. So not the potency but efficacy of the combination becomes lesser. So in case of competitive antagonism, the potency is reduced for combination of agonist and antagonist as compared to agonist alone. In case of non-competitive antagonism, the efficacy is reduced. In case of partial agonist, so what is partial agonist? It binds to the agonist binding site, the same site where agonist is binding, but causes less response than a full agonist. So that means that partial agonist has got affinity but less efficacy compared to full agonist. So in the presence of full agonist, a partial agonist behaves like a competitive antagonist. So it shifts the DRC towards right side and the combination has a lower potency just like a competitive antagonist. So it is like this. Agonist alone, the DRC is shown over here. With partial agonist, it shifts towards right side. Now we'll be talking about Quantel dose response curve. This is all or none response. The response does not vary with changing dose. So therefore, no traditional dose response curve can be plotted as such. So we can do it in a different way. The percentage of individuals showing a particular response against the dose can be plotted. So that is what we do over here. It tells about variability in the drug response across a population. You know, there is variability across the population for different biological parameters. Similarly, the drug response, it can also vary across the population, and that is what we can plot in a Quantel dose response curve. So you can see it over here. You can see the dose, it changes across the x-axis, 325, 650, 1300, so on. Because this particular drug which we are plotting on the x-axis, it shows all or none effect or a Quantel effect, so we cannot plot the graded dose response curve. Instead, on the y-axis we have taken the percentage of individuals given the drug. So 50%, 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. So with the changing dose, higher number of individuals are being affected. So higher number of individuals are showing the response that we are watching. Okay, so here you can see the plot. As the dose increases from 325 to say 1300, the individuals involved which are showing the effect is increasing. Okay, and ultimately it is reaching a plateau. That means all the population is showing the effect over here. 100% of population is showing the effect over here. So there is a particular term to be understood at this point, and that is called as median effective dose or ED50. So what is ED50 or median effective dose? So it is that dose at which 50% of the individuals are showing the given effect of the drug. So ED50, it is the dose at which 50% of the individuals are showing the effect. So here we have given the definition of ED50. Dose of a drug achieving a given therapeutic response in 50% of the population. Now there are 2-3 more terms that we'll be defining and understand. Therapeutic index. So what is therapeutic index? It actually gives us the idea of the difference between an effective dose and a toxic dose. Okay, so it is also called as therapeutic margin. So it is the ratio of the dose that produces toxicity to dose that produces the desired clinical effect. Ratio of the dose that produces toxicity to that which produces the desired clinical effect. In the DRC, it is represented by the gap between therapeutic effect curve and the toxic effect curve, as we will see. So drugs with small therapeutic index could lead to toxicity with small changes in the disposition. So drugs with larger therapeutic index are relatively safer. So here we can see it. But for a particular drug, the therapeutic effect curve is shown. It is similar to the dose response curve. It is the same thing as the dose response curve. So therapeutic effect curve is shown in blue over here. Now another curve is shown which is showing the toxic effect of the same drug. So you can see that toxic effect is achieved with a larger dose. Larger doses are achieving the toxic effect. And there is a difference between the therapeutic effect and toxic effect. Now that difference, that gap, is what is therapeutic margin or therapeutic index. So it is given by this equation, ED50 divided by the TD50. That means effective dose 50 divided by toxic dose 50. So that ratio gives us therapeutic index. It is also sometimes defined as this LD50 divided by the ED50. Okay, LD50 means lethal dose. So that is an experimental term and is defined in case of experimental animals. So that is a separate issue. We will be discussing this LD50 later on in other classes. So effective dose and toxic dose. So that is the ratio of toxic dose to effective dose 50 will give us the therapeutic index or margin. Another term is therapeutic range. Now here again the therapeutic effect curve is shown and toxic effect curve is shown. So there is a slight difference between therapeutic index and therapeutic range. So if you remember, that was therapeutic dose 50, ratio between the toxic dose 50 and effective dose 50. Okay. Now here it is the range, the margin between that dose which is achieving the minimal therapeutic effect to that dose which is giving the maximally acceptable toxic effect. So that range is called as therapeutic range. From where the minimal effect starts and up to that point where the acceptable toxic effect is there. So that is what is therapeutic range. Lastly, there is another term, therapeutic window phenomenon. So you may get confused between these three terms. So please remember these three terms: therapeutic index, therapeutic range, and therapeutic window phenomenon. Now therapeutic window phenomenon, it is not related to the toxic effect. It is related to the optimal therapeutic effect only. So some drugs, and it is shown by only a few drugs, not all the drugs. So some drugs, they may show an optimal therapeutic effect only in a narrow dose range, not below that, not above that. So optimal effect is achieved within a particular range. Both below as well as above this range, the effect is suboptimal. So there are different pharmacological reasons for that. So examples of such drugs which show therapeutic window phenomenon are clonidine. So clonidine is an antihypertensive drug. It lowers the blood pressure at plasma concentration 0.2 to 2 nanogram per ml. So that is the narrow range in which clonidine shows its optimal therapeutic effect, hypotensive effect. Both below that and above that range, that optimal effect is not seen. Another example is imipramine, which is a antidepressant drug, and it exhibits optimal antidepressant action at this dose range of 50 to 150 nanogram per ml. So with that, we finish this class. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.